Hello! In this Unity tutorial, we're going to cover Spritesheet animation. Spritesheet animation is one of the three major types of animation inside of Unity, in addition to timeline-based animation and script animation. Spritesheet animation is really exciting because it allows you to take a sequence of images and make them come to life. There are many places on the internet that you can find Spritesheet animations, as well as some resources that we offer here at CMU. I went onto the remote desktop. If you need help accessing the remote desktop, please visit the project setup video on this channel or contact your instructor for further help. On the K drive, let me go ahead and access that via the File menu. You'll want to go to Courses, Perpetual, CPS Multimedia Library, and in here there are a bunch of folders, but you're going to want to select the glitch PNG. Here you'll have access to a bunch of different types of images from Glitch the Game, which was an amazing game that made all of their assets and resources available for you to download. Go ahead and search Glitch the Game on the internet to find out a little bit more about it. But in here are quite literally thousands upon thousands of images of things that you can use inside of your projects, ranging from letters to sprite sheets to a bunch of other good stuff. So here's an example of one sprite sheet. A sprite sheet, again, is a series of images inside one single image that we are going to slice up, and when they're overlaid on top of each other, create an animation. So this animation looked like it would be a flower kind of moving or closing up a little bit. Okay, so I would encourage you to take a look through some of these things here. There are so many great resources available for you there. I personally just went onto the internet and searched for Spritesheet, and let me show you the one that I downloaded. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in this Spritesheet here. If I open it up, anything that looks like this or anything of the sort will work perfect for this video. Again, just search Spritesheet on Google, look for images. Be sure to pay attention to the attribution for it, whether it be Creative Commons and the like. We are doing this for educational purposes only, so you have a little bit more freedom, but just keep in mind that if you plan to distribute this in any way, whether commercially or personally, just pay attention to that license that comes along with the assets that you're using. So this is a character running here, running to the right, and we're gonna make this animation happen inside of Unity. Now, when I brought this image in, if it didn't do it automatically, it's going to need to be of the type Sprite, 2D, and UI. Now this image is not going to work well for us. The reason why is this image, although it is a portable network graphic or a .png image, which means it has transparency, it does not have a transparent background. It has a white background, and that is not very helpful for us. What we're going to have to do is use an image editor. Go ahead and open up GIMP on your computer. If you're using the remote desktop, GIMP is already installed. You can launch it from there. If you're on your personal computer at home, GIMP is a completely free program, and I highly recommend downloading it, as it is open source and millions upon millions of people downloaded it, and is a great alternative to the Photoshop. Okay, let me go ahead and bring this image in. So I'm just going to click, hold, and drag the image directly into my GIMP workspace. We're not going to spend a tremendous amount of time in here. We have videos dedicated to GIMP all by itself. All we need to do is quickly remove the white background. So to do that, we need to make sure that it has a transparency layer. So we're going to go ahead and go up to the Layer menu, select Transparency, and then notice that the Add Alpha channel is not allowing us to click on it. That means it has an alpha. You can see we can remove it here. We definitely don't want to do that. We're going to leave the alpha, so there's actually nothing we have to do. Step 2 is going to be to use the fuzzy wand, the fuzzy select tool, which is the fourth option in your toolbar here. Go ahead and select anywhere in the white area, and go ahead and press delete on the keyboard, and that's going to delete the white background. Go ahead now and do File, export as, and I'm going to call this Spritesheet new. Go ahead and leave all the default settings, and then that will export to that location. I'd recommend saving this just by doing a file, save as, giving it a name, and then just saving it. That way you can open it up in the future if you need to edit it anymore. For the purposes of this though, I'm just going to go ahead and discard this. Now let's go ahead and bring in that new image that we just created, the Spritesheet new. Perfect. And now you'll see that the white background is no longer present. So what we're going to do now is step 1 is to make sure that it is a sprite 2D and UI, which it is. Step 2 is going to be to change the sprite mode from single to multiple, because there are multiple sprites in this image. And then we're going to have to go ahead and select the apply button to make those changes. And then select the sprite editor to bring up this window. Now you'll see our character here. What you're going to want to do is we're going to slice this. So there are multiple ways to slice. Because we remove the white background, Unity will be able to automatically determine the bounds of each of these characters, so we're going to use the automatic slicing. You can also slice by cell size and cell count. If you know, for example, how many pixels each particular subsection of the image is for the animation, you could do it that way. Go ahead and just leave it on automatic for now, and then go ahead and press slice. Now it is very hard to see. Hopefully you can see it on the video. You'll see these white boxes. They're outlining each of the characters. If you zoom in, you might be able to see them a little bit more. But this is showing you can also select on them to see the bounds of those. These are each of the images that are going to be part of the Spritesheet animation. All that we have left to do now is to go ahead and select the apply button to apply that. Go ahead and close out of this window. And now in our scene view, it's as easy as dragging this image up into our scene. We'll go ahead and drag that in. Now you'll notice that a new file menu is going to pop up. If you have seen the timeline-based animation video, we created an animation clip in there. We're actually doing the same thing here. This is an animation clip. So we'll call this Run Right. Go ahead and save that. And in case you did not see that video, let me briefly talk about what happened. When we dragged this character in, it created a new animation because we sliced up the image and we determined, well, Unity determined what the bounds were for each of the character images, and what it's going to do is it's going to cycle between those images, giving the appearance of an animation. Unity automatically added an animator for us, as well as an animator controller. You can see that was created here. The animator controller is responsible for controlling the animations for an object. You can have many animations for a single object. The animator is responsible for determining when those animations are going to play. If we take a look at this animator controller by double-clicking on it, you'll see that we created that Run Right animation. Now we only have one in here, but we could have multiple animations. You can see we have a parameters tab. We're not going to cover that in this video, but this is where you would define things such as integer values or Boolean values such as true and false to determine when to switch between different animations. Like for example, if the user presses W, maybe we want the character to walk upward, and we can control that via a parameter. Okay, let's go back to the scene now. And just to see the magic happen right away, go ahead and press the play button. And you'll notice that the character is now running to the right, and that looks really amazing. Now there are a lot of other cool things that we can do with this as well. So for example, let's actually take a look at what this animation clip looks like. If you don't have the animation tab here at the bottom, you can access that via the window, animation, and then animation. That will go ahead and bring up this. Now go ahead and select on the object that we just animated in the hierarchy, and what you'll be able to see here is you can see all of the different animation keyframes that were automatically created for us when we created this Spritesheet animation. So if we take a look at this here, we have 10 different frame sequences that show this character running. Now we can actually add additional stuff to this. So what happens if we were to move the character over to the left side of our screen using the Move tool, if you didn't have that selected second option from the Transform tools in the upper left-hand corner. And we'll go ahead and position our cursor right here. And if we click the Record button, now notice that when we click the Record button, nothing really happened. Unity's telling us that it's ready to accept our input. I want to set the current position though. An easier way to do that is, let me go ahead and go out of recording mode, go ahead and select Add Property. The property that I'd like to add is the Transform Position specifically. You'll notice that that new Transform Position property was added to this animator list. Now, you'll notice if we move this, it's actually not moving at all. The reason is when you click Add Property, select a property, it's going to give you a start, which is this one here. It's going to give you an end, this one here, but they're going to be the exact same values. If we wanted to update that, we'd have to go ahead and position our cursor here. Remember to always position your cursor first before you do a move when you're recording your animation. Otherwise, you're likely going to write over some values, some existing values. So with our cursor placed here, go ahead and select the Record button. And then we can actually go ahead and move this character. So if we wanted to move the character slightly there, you can see the character's kind of doing a nice dash now, so that looks pretty cool. But let's say we wanted to dash across the screen. Well, if we were to take the position and kind of move it out here, you'll notice that it's going to play the animation, but then it's going to kind of stop. Now, we didn't really move the position too much, so it's just going to go a little bit slower. Let me actually position the cursor here at this location. We're still recording, so I'm actually going to change the ending to this position here. And what we're actually going to do is a really nice trick of we're going to be copying some keyframes. So let's copy all these. Do Control-C. Again, Control-C on your keyboard. Go ahead and position your mouse cursor right here at the end. Control-V to paste. And select here, Control-V to paste. And you're going to notice that when we play this animation now, let's go ahead and go back to the beginning. It looks like we also copied our positional one, so that's actually, it's a good thing and a bad thing. It'll show us how to fix it here. We're just going to go ahead and come in here, select this position one, and delete it. Because we copied it from the very beginning, that's actually the exact same position at the beginning, so it's just going to kind of hang out there, hang out there. Alright, now it's time to zip across the screen. So we'll go ahead and with this one selected, we'll just delete that one, select that one, delete that one. Now if we do this, he's going to run across the screen, but he's going to run a little bit after the animation is finished. So this is just kind of where a little bit of tweaking comes into play, and we're going to actually just move this positional one out just like that. So now when he makes it across the screen, he'll also be finished running at that point. If we were to go into play, it's going to show us what it looks like in the game view. So that looks pretty amazing. You'll notice that it is looping. If you didn't see the timeline-based animation video, we talked about how to disable looping there, but also, let's cover it here. So if we unselect the play, in the project, go ahead and select the animation clip, which is this triangle. You'll notice a property called loop time. Go ahead and unselect that. If you select the play button now, the animation will go across the screen from left to right and then be finished. Now he doesn't have a really nice standing pose to end on, so he's just going to kind of end at that position, but we could keep making tweaks to make it look better and better. So that is the basics of the Spritesheet animation. Again, let me quickly walk through the steps in a 30-second overview. When you bring in the Spritesheet, make sure to have it as a Sprite 2D UI, Sprite Mode Multiple, open up the Sprite Editor, slice it automatically, and then apply. Then you'll go ahead and drag it into the Unity scene, create a new animation clip, and then you can start animating it just like the timeline-based animations before. Okay, if you have any questions about this, please do not hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section or reach out to your instructor for any additional help. Thank you very much.